My girlfriend called my family's 90-year farm a pile of dirt, then tried to steal half of it through fake marriage claims. 3 weeks later, she was the one getting buried. Look, I need some perspective here because I'm still processing what just happened. My girlfriend Madison, 28F, and I, 31M, have been together for 2 years. She moved out to my family farm in Nebraska about 10 months ago when her company went fully remote. Here's the thing, this isn't just my farm. This is my great-grandfather's farm. Built the house in 1924 with his own hands. My grandmother raised my dad here, and my dad raised me here summers and weekends. When Grandma passed 4 years ago, she left me the whole 240 acres. I work cybersecurity remotely, make decent money, 110K, and I lease most of the land to neighbors while keeping about 40 acres for my own small operation. Madison pays me $800 a month for rent, which honestly I never even asked for. The place is paid off, but she insisted on contributing. She seemed to love it at first, always posting Instagram stories about farm life and authentic living. Her friends ate it up, but lately she's been different, constantly talking about how we should maximize our potential and move somewhere with better opportunities. I kept telling her this is my opportunity. This is my home, my family's legacy. Yesterday I came home early from running errands in town. I walk into my kitchen, my grandmother's kitchen, and there's Madison sitting at the dining table with 2 guys in suits. Property surveys spread out everywhere. Official-looking documents. Calculator out. I'm like, oh, what's going on here? One guy stands up, extends his hand. You must be Mr. Thompson. I'm David from Midwest Development Group. Your fiancé here has been telling us about your beautiful property. My fiancé. I look at Madison. She's got this weird smile on her face. Madison, can I talk to you outside for a second? We step onto the porch, the same porch my great-grandfather built, and I'm trying to stay calm. Madison, what the hell is this about? And why did that guy call you my fiancé? She crosses her arms, gets that look she gets when she thinks she's about to win an argument. Jake, your dead grandmother's farm is just holding you back. This is prime development land. We could make millions and finally start our real life in a real city like normal people our age. I'm staring at her, just staring. This is my real life. This land has been in my family for 90 years. Your family's past, Jake. What about our future? You work remotely anyway, we could live anywhere. Why choose to stay stuck in the middle of nowhere? Because this is home. Home, she laughs, actually laughs. Jake, look around, we're 30 years old living like we're 80. Your friends from college are buying condos in Chicago and Denver. We're, what, playing house in your grandma's kitchen? That hit different. Playing house in my grandmother's kitchen. Madison, who contacted these developers. She gets defensive immediately. I did. Because someone has to think about our future practically. Our future, did you tell them you own this property? I told them I live here. I told them we're basically married. Basically married? Madison, we've never even talked about marriage. Well, maybe that's the problem. Maybe if you actually committed to something bigger than this. She waves her hand around like my family's legacy is trash. We could build something real together. I take a deep breath. Look out at the fields my great-grandfather cleared by hand. The barn my grandfather rebuilt after the tornado in '78. The garden my grandmother tended for 60 years. You're absolutely right about one thing, I tell her. What's that? You shouldn't be stuck here. Let me help you with that. She looks confused. The developers are still inside, probably wondering where we went. I walk back in, tell the guys there's been a misunderstanding. Madison doesn't own this property. She's a tenant. I'm not selling. They pack up quick after that. One guy apologizes, says they were under the impression this was a joint decision. After they leave, Madison starts crying, says I embarrassed her, says I'm not thinking about us as a team. But here's what I can't stop thinking about. When that appraiser called her fiancé, she didn't correct him. When he talked about your beautiful property, she said thank you like it was hers. Reddit, am I crazy here? 2 years together and she's meeting with developers behind my back, telling people we're engaged when we're not. Acting like she owns property that's been in my family for nearly a century. I love her, but I don't even know who I'm looking at anymore. Update 1. First off, thank you to everyone who told me to get a lawyer immediately. Best advice I've ever gotten on Reddit. Called my cousin Tommy the same night I posted. He's an agricultural attorney about an hour away, and let me tell you, the conversation was eye-opening. Jake, he said. You need to document everything. Screenshots, recordings if Nebraska allows it, witnesses. If she's claiming ownership rights she doesn't have, that's fraud. So that's what I've been doing for 3 weeks. And holy shit, people, holy shit. The night after my first post, Madison came home around 11 p.m. I was sitting in the living room, kind of staring at the family photos on the mantle, 4 generations of Thompsons on this land. We need to talk, she says, but her tone is different, not apologetic, angry. Yeah, we do. She sits across from me, arms crossed. I can't believe you embarrassed me like that in front of those developers. Madison, you embarrassed yourself. You told them you own my property. I live here, Jake. I pay rent. I've put work into this place. What work? I've been managing the social media for your farm business. What farm business? I lease the land to Earl and the Morrison family. I don't have a farm business. Well, I've been maintaining this house. You mean living in it, like a tenant? She gets up, starts pacing. This is where it got weird, guys, really weird. Jake, I've given you 2 years of my life, 2 years of my prime years. I moved here for you. I left my life in Dallas for you. Nobody asked you to move here, Madison. You said you wanted to try rural life. Because I thought it was temporary. I thought you'd come to your senses. Come to my senses about what? About this, she waves around the room. About playing farmer in your dead grandmother's house. About wasting your education and your potential on this nostalgia trip. I'm trying to stay calm, but she called it a nostalgia trip. 4 generations of my family's blood, sweat, and tears, a nostalgia trip. Madison, if you're so unhappy here, why don't you leave? Because I'm not going to let you waste both our lives. Someone has to think practically about our future. Our future? What exactly do you think our future looks like? This is where she really lost me, Reddit. She pulls out her phone, starts scrolling through job listings. I've been applying to positions in Austin and Denver. Good positions. Marketing director roles, brand management, real opportunities. Okay. For both of us, Jake. You could easily get a cybersecurity job in any major city, probably make $150K, $200K even. I already make good money and I like working from here. But why here? Why this specific middle of nowhere place? I point to the photos on the mantle. Because it's home. It's a house, Jake, 4 walls and a roof. Home is what we build together. That's when I realized it. She doesn't see this place the way I do. To her, it's just real estate. Over the next week, I did what Tommy suggested. I documented everything. And people, what I found made my blood run cold. Madison had been researching Nebraska common law marriage laws, deep researching. I found browser history going back months. Searches like Nebraska property rights common law spouse and how to establish common law marriage Nebraska. But here's the kicker, I found messages on her laptop. She left it open. I wasn't snooping, but I saw the notification. Messages to her friend Jessica back in Dallas. Getting closer to convincing Jake about the move. Found out the property is worth way more than I thought, over $1 million if developed right. Just need to establish my rights to it first. And this one from 2 weeks ago might need to push the timeline up. Jake's being stubborn about selling. But legally I think I have a case for partial ownership. We've been living as married for almost a year. Guys, she's been planning this. This isn't about wanting to move to the city. This is about money, my family's land. I called Tommy immediately, told him about the messages. Jake, change your locks today and call the county recorder's office, make sure she hasn't tried to file any documents. I called the county office. Nothing filed, thank God, but they told me something interesting. Someone had called asking about the process for adding a spouse to a property deed. A woman's voice. Last Tuesday. Last Tuesday was the day before those developers showed up. Tommy's coming out this weekend to review everything. Says we might need to involve law enforcement if she's committed fraud with the property appraisal. Meanwhile, Madison's acting like nothing happened, still posting Instagram stories about our farm life and building something beautiful together. The comments from her Dallas friends are getting weirder too. When are you finally getting him to pop the question? And you've been so patient, he better appreciate what he has. Patient, appreciate what he has. What exactly has she been telling people? I'm starting to think I never really knew her at all. Update 2. You guys are not going to believe this update. I mean, I'm living it and I barely believe it. Well, this weekend her parents came to visit, unannounced. I'm working in my home office Friday afternoon when I hear this engine outside. Look out the window and there's a white Mercedes SUV pulling into my driveway. Texas plates. Oh shit. Madison comes running downstairs like she's been waiting for this. "They're here," she says, all excited. "Who's here?" "My parents, I invited them to see the farm." She invited them to my farm without asking me. Out of this pristine SUV step Madison's parents, Rich and Patricia Sterling. I've met them twice before, briefly, at holidays. Rich owns a chain of luxury car dealerships around Dallas. Patricia does. I honestly don't know what Patricia does, but she's wearing more jewelry than most people wear to weddings. Rich is wearing khakis and boat shoes for a farm visit. Patricia's in white pants and heels. They look around my property like they've landed on Mars. "Jake," Rich strides over with this big salesman smile. "Son, look at all this. Space." Patricia air kisses Madison. "Sweetheart, it's so rustic, very authentic." They want the full tour. Madison's showing them around like she owns the place, pointing out improvements we could make and the potential for development. I'm trailing behind, watching my girlfriend give her parents a sales pitch for my family's land. We end up in the kitchen for dinner. Madison cooked, which was nice, I guess, but the whole time her parents are asking questions that make me uncomfortable. "Rich, so Jake," Madison tells us, "you work in computers." "Cybersecurity, yeah. Good field, growing field, lot of opportunities in Dallas, Austin, places like that. I work remotely, location doesn't matter for my job." "But why here?" Patricia jumps in. "I mean, it's charming and all, but for young people. Where do you go out? Where do you meet people?" "I meet people. Small towns aren't isolated anymore." Rich leans forward. "Son, let me be straight with you. Madison's a city girl. She went to SMU, she's used to a certain lifestyle. She's trying her best here, but asking her to live permanently in." He gestures around. It's not fair to her." Madison's nodding along. "Daddy understands the sacrifice I'm making." "Sacrifice? Living rent-free in a beautiful farmhouse is a sacrifice." "What kind of sacrifice?" I ask. Patricia answers. "Social sacrifice, dear, career sacrifice. Madison could be making six figures in Dallas, but she's stuck here without proper networking opportunities. She works remotely too and makes good money. But her potential, Jake, her potential is being wasted." Rich pulls out his phone. "Look, I've got connections. I could help you get a real position in Dallas. Sales, maybe real estate development." "You're obviously smart enough." "What do you mean real position? Corporate position, growth potential, this." He waves toward the window, toward my fields. "This is just maintaining, son. Where's the growth? Where's the advancement?" I look at Madison. She's smiling like her dad just offered me a promotion instead of insulting everything I've built. "This farm has been in my family for 4 generations, I say quietly. "And that's lovely," Patricia says. "But what about Madison's future? What about grandchildren? You can't raise children out here. People raise children in rural areas all the time." "But Madison's children," Rich says, "they deserve better opportunities." "Madison's children, not our children. Madison's children." After dinner, Madison walks them out to their car. I stay inside, supposedly cleaning up, but really I'm listening through the window. "Rich, Maddie, honey, you've given it a good try, but this isn't sustainable." Patricia, "That boy seems nice enough, but he's not thinking practically about the future." Madison, "I know, I'm working on it. The property is worth over $1 million if developed. I just need to get him to see reason." Rich, "Have you talked to that lawyer I recommended?" "Not yet. I'm trying to handle this delicately." Patricia, "Delicate time is over, sweetheart. You're 28. You can't waste your prime years on someone who won't commit to progress." They drive away and Madison comes back inside all energetic. "Wasn't that great? They really like you." "Madison, did your dad just offer me a job so we'd move to Dallas?" "He's trying to help. He sees your potential." "And what did you tell them about the property value?" She freezes, just for a second, but she freezes. "I mentioned the appraisal estimates." "What appraisal estimates? I canceled that appraisal." "Well, the preliminary estimates." "From who?" She doesn't answer. Starts loading the dishwasher really aggressively. That's when my neighbor Earl knocks on the door. Perfect timing. Earl Hendricks is 73, been farming the land next to ours for 40 years. Knew my grandmother, helped my dad through some tough seasons. He's got this old-school farmer politeness, but he's sharp as a tack. "Evening, Jake. Sorry to bother you, but I wanted to ask about something." "What's up, Earl?" He glances at Madison, who's pretending not to listen. "Well, your girlfriend here stopped by last week. Asked if I'd be interested in buying about 20 acres of your southeast section." My blood goes cold. "She what?" "Said once she convinces you to sell, she thought I might want first crack at that section before the developers get it." Madison drops a plate. It doesn't break, but the sound fills the quiet kitchen. Earl, I say carefully, Madison doesn't own any part of this property. Oh, Earl looks confused. Well, she said. She said she was working on getting her name on the deed, something about common law marriage rights. I turn to look at Madison. She's white as a sheet. Earl, thanks for letting me know. Madison and I need to have a conversation. After Earl leaves, I close the door and lean against it. Madison, sit down. Jake, I can explain. Sit down. She sits at my grandmother's kitchen table. The same table where 4 generations of my family made decisions about this land. You offered to sell Earl 20 acres of my property. I was just exploring options. Options for what? Property you don't own. Jake, we live together, we're basically married. In Nebraska, that gives me Madison. I interrupt her. Do you think you legally own part of this farm? She doesn't answer immediately. That's all the answer I need. Madison, do you actually think you have legal rights to my family's property? I think after 2 years together, after everything I've invested in this relationship in this place, I think I deserve some security. What kind of security? Financial security, legal security. If something happened to you, what would happen to me? Madison, we're not married. Your name isn't on any deed. You pay rent to live here. But we've been living as married. Everyone knows we're together. Who's everyone? The neighbors, your family, people in town. Earl just had to ask me if you own part of this property. That doesn't sound like everyone knows we're married. She starts crying then, but it's not sad crying, it's angry crying. I have given you 2 years of my life, Jake, 2 years of my prime years. I moved here for you. I've been patient, I've been supportive, I've tried to make this work. Nobody asked you to move here. But I did, for US, for our future. What future, Madison? The future where you sell my family's farm and move us to Dallas. The future where we build something together instead of you clinging to the past. I sit down across from her. Look at her, really look at her. Madison, what exactly do you think this relationship is? What do you mean? I mean, what did you think was going to happen here? Did you think you were going to inherit this property somehow? She stops crying, looks right at me. I thought you loved me enough to choose me over a pile of dirt. A pile of dirt. 4 generations of my family's legacy, a pile of dirt. Madison, I want you to move out. The words just come out. I don't plan them, but once they're said, I know they're right. What? I want you to move out. This isn't working. Jake, don't be dramatic. We can work through this. No, Madison, we can't, because you don't see this place the way I do. You never did. She's quiet for a long time. Then she says something that chills me to the bone. You're going to regret this, Jake. When you're 40 and alone on this farm, you're going to remember the woman who was willing to build a real future with you. Build a real future. With my family's land as the foundation and her as the beneficiary, I think I'm finally seeing her clearly. Final update, it's over. The ending was more dramatic than expected. After I asked Madison to leave, she acted like nothing happened, still posting our farm life content, still leaving real estate printouts around Austin condos, Denver houses, all with notes, perfect for entertaining. Friday night she made fancy dinner, candles, wine. Jake, I've been thinking about what you said. Okay, you're right, we need changes, waiting for it. I've been selfish, I'm willing to stay here permanently. Madison, but we need to make this official, get married. There it is, she slides a folder across. Partnership dissolution agreement for the farm. Claims 50% property value through common law marriage rights. Madison, we're not married. We live together, present as a couple. When have we presented as married? She gets frustrated. I've invested 2 years in this relationship. I deserve protection. You pay rent, you're not an investor. I've been managing social media. You post Instagram stories, that's not business management. She loses it, storms upstairs, comes back with laptop. I'm calling Brad, her ex-boyfriend. The developer, she puts it on speaker. Maddie, how's farm life? Brad, remember that property I mentioned? He won't sell, but I think I have legal rights to force it. Pause. Do you actually have ownership rights? Common law marriage, over a year cohabitating. Longer pause. Maddie, that's not how property law works. Common law marriage needs mutual consent, public representation as married. You're just dating and living together. But I moved here, I invested in this relationship. That's not property investment, babe. I watch her face go white then red. I need you to come look at this property, it's worth over $1 million. I'm not driving to Nebraska to help you force your boyfriend to sell his family farm. It's his farm. His name's on the deed, you're a tenant. She hangs up, slams laptop. What exactly did you think was going to happen here? I thought you loved me. Love doesn't give you ownership rights. Then what was the point of any of this? Saturday morning, Tommy arrives with documentation. Madison, still in pajamas, looks like she hasn't slept. Madison, you believe you have ownership rights to this property? We've been living as married over a year. Jake's never called you his wife. Your social media says boyfriend. You pay rent. No mutual consent to marriage, no public representation as spouses. But we live together. Living together doesn't create property rights. You're a tenant. Tommy pulls out his folder. Attempting to claim property rights you don't possess, contacting appraisers under false pretenses, misrepresenting yourself as owner, that's fraud. I'm not a criminal. I'm protecting my future by claiming rights to property that isn't yours. Car and driveway, Madison looks out. Oh God, it's Brad. Brad actually drove from Dallas. Madison runs outside, talks animatedly. He's shaking his head. They come inside. Jake, Brad, Michaels, sorry about this situation. What situation? Maddie called at 6 a.m. crying, said you were stealing her property rights. I realized she's fundamentally misunderstanding everything. Brad turns to me. Beautiful property. I see why someone would want to develop it, but Maddie doesn't own it. Never has. She's not your wife, has no ownership stake, no legal right to force sale. Brad, Madison sounds betrayed. Maddie, you asked me to help claim half of someone's family farm. That's not business, that's fraud. Dead quiet. I've been in real estate 8 years. What you're describing could get you criminal charges. Madison sits down hard. But I invested 2 years in this relationship. That's relationship investment, not property investment, completely different. Tommy, Madison, if you don't cease all claims immediately, we involve law enforcement. She looks at me. After everything we built. We haven't built anything, you've been living here, there's a difference. She breaks down, sobs about wasted prime years and being too old to start over. Brad drives her to Dallas that afternoon. She packs in 2 hours, really drives home how little she'd invested beyond rent. At the door, you'll regret this. When you're 40 and alone, you'll wish you'd chosen someone who wanted to build a future. I do want to build a future, just not one requiring selling my family's legacy. She looks around one last time. 4 generations of photos, grandmother's furniture, great-grandfather's carved mantle. Some people see opportunity, some people see the past. Some people see land, I see legacy. Anyone who can't understand the difference doesn't deserve either. 3 weeks later, Madison posted long Instagram story about small-town mentality and men afraid of success. Her Dallas friends were supportive. Earl's grandson David rents the guest cottage now. $400 a month, helps with maintenance, actually understands what this place means. Sister Sarah helped me start documenting farm history properly. Educational content about sustainable farming and rural tech work. I'm not lonely, not missing anything. Wake up every morning in the house my great-grandfather built, work a job I love, tend land that's been in my family nearly a century. Madison was right, some people see opportunity, some see the past. But she was wrong about what that means. The opportunity isn't destroying what came before. It's honoring it while building something worthy. Anyone who can't see the difference between land and legacy doesn't deserve either.